in all fairness, up until recently, no one knew, no one really looked at the classification laws. No one ever looked into the libraries. Everything was running quite smoothly. So I think this was like a new thing for the police to even look into. I cannot support the advice and recommendations of UNESCO and the WHO because it is inconsistent with the protective laws of Australia and based on unsatisfactory premises and challengeable research on comprehensive sexuality education, which is a part of Agenda 2030. The material obtained for the basis of UNESCO and the WHO is recognised as being drawn from the Kinsey Institute. Alfred Kinsey included detailed observations of sexual responses in children. The single biggest issue is that it's likely children were abused. This is UNESCO's guidance on sexuality education, which frequently references the WHO standards for sexuality. There are people who generally think they're doing, educating, just say, children on these issues, and they think, or support the trans movement. They think it's for, for the right reasons, and they have a genuine heart where they're coming from. Unfortunately, if they understood the roots of it and how, let's say, puberty blockers, if they understood how social transitioning or puberty blockers actually work and how it's actually, if they're, yelling at them, might not wake them up to that. Sometimes you have to soften the blow. You can be a parent, you can be tough, you can, we need to empower parents too. Take an interest in your children's life, allow them to feel safe enough to talk with you. That's what we need to do. Stop just saying, oh, I can't do anything about it. What can I do? That's just the way the world's going. Stop making excuses and be a parent. Pull your socks up and do the work of a parent. Stop handing your authority over to the government.
That is some previous discussions that you and I have had before. So this isn't your first time on faith, culture and politics. So welcome again, Angela. Great to have you on board.
Thank you. Nice to be on your show again.
No, that's okay. We obviously talked about quite a bit of stuff in previous interviews and discussions. Today we're going to unpack a bit of a new direction for you, a new website, and a petition that you're really looking to get a lot of traction with as well. But obviously from some of those other interviews and the stuff that you have been doing before your new direction, have you got any sort of updates or sort of what sort of led you into this space? I guess it kind of ties in from what you have been doing over the last few months. One of the things I do need to mention is just your tenacity. One thing I've noticed and admired about you is that that quiet achiever kind of thing. So you really just plodded along and you engage others respectfully in conversation, and you're listening and trying to do this conversation. And I think you mentioned it about not just bashing people with information, but really genuinely listening and then giving them the perspective of what you've come to know. So, well done, and continue to admire you for your just being steady and trying to make people aware of what's happening within their children's lives in schools and other things. So, what's been happening?
Well, just a quick recap. So a few years ago, I started homeschooling my own daughters. Now they're in a Christian school, and I became aware of those explicit books and libraries, challenging the library board and their deputations and everything like that. And I yielded results from last year with the South Australian Library Boards, where they made changes across South Australian libraries, and a paper petition which still is going to be presented. I don't know when or what the follow-up action will be, but I won't say too much more than that. Also, I became a classifier for film and games throughout the process, and wrote a letter notifying Shine SA Public Library, because they also have teacher resources as well on the same DVD list, because they had unclassified DVDs, which breaks the law essentially. And educational DVDs should be classified, especially if they're likely to be M-rated or above. So last year we went through the whole police investigation, and it turned out that they culled the DVD collection, sex education DVDs, down to 31. So there's more action that's going to come up. I can't talk about it now, but just keep, we'll touch base when the breakthrough comes and when I know more. But I'm not going to say too much now. But so I've stayed in my lane. There's a lot of things that I've been challenged, and this whole experience has grown me closer to God, and I've spoken a bit more about this more now. And you just feel drawn to a certain purpose. And the thing is, when you feel drawn to a certain direction, you stay in your lane. That's the success of it. And the thing is, I have a lot of passion towards other actions around everywhere else. And I was thinking about this morning. Sometimes we're called to certain action. I might support like the pro-life. I support the the bill to end late-term abortion and things like that. But that's not my assignment. I don't feel that's my God-given assignment. I will go out and support it. But that's why I don't speak on too many other issues, because that's not my assignment. My assignment, my focus is the educational materials in schools and libraries. That's my focus at the moment. And but throughout the process, I've had a lot of parents contact me over the last few years that they want to help out in some ways like that. And then I wanted to do another petition, and that's what led to Believe in Action Australia, trying to find a way of pulling everyone together. Firstly, the e-petition. I did submit an e-petition, a federal petition, and the e-petitions committee didn't approve it, and it was to opt out of sexuality education. Now, parents feel differently when it comes to sexuality education, and sexuality education isn't just puberty and human reproduction and sexual health. It goes into sexual pleasure, it goes into consent, it goes into everything, and the whole rainbow LGBTQ plus agenda and everything like that. And some people might think that teenagers should learn about sexual orientation, or things like that. But there's people sit in different things. But what it shouldn't be mandatory, and it's mandatory for teachers to teach under the Respectful Relationships education. And the reason why the e-petitions committee rejected it is because it's a state-by-state issue, even though it's a national curriculum, which is stupid anyway. So I decided to create an e-petition on my own website, it's the same e-petition as the one I submitted, but this time it's, instead of being addressed to the House of Representatives, it's directed or addressed to every single education minister in every state and territory. So once I get all the signatures coming, I'll collect all the signatures and I will ensure that every minister, education minister, gets those signatures.
Yeah, great. And we'll talk into that a bit more, because I'll bring up their website and we'll talk into that. Just a quick question on that then, because I know that you were doing a lot of work in regards to the physical petition. Is there an option, like I forget now, because I know the petition was going around, I signed it myself. Was there provision for contact details and that? Are you in a position to reach out to all those people that have previously signed that, and that could encourage them to jump across to this other one? Is there a provision for that, for you to do that?
No, I only that was a Parliament paper petition, so I only got people's residential addresses or postcodes, no email addresses. That wasn't a data collection thing. That was sort of word of mouth. I mean, I got over 5,000 physical signatures, which is pretty difficult as it was, but it was enough when I explained to the Libraries Board and I showed them a photograph of the petition for them to take, my recommendations more seriously. But that petition will get presented anyway. But this other one, electronically, I mean, there's no time frame. It is going around. I am getting signatures from different states, so it is getting out there, which is good. It's slowly moving along, but it'll get there, And and I want to use this also to build up a supporter base for other actions as well. But I will definitely follow through. That's the one thing when I say something, I will stick to it and I will do it. And I know that. And even when doors close, I'll find a way around and work it out. So.
Yeah, well, I've definitely noticed that with you. You've, as I mentioned before, about your tenacity, and even you mentioning you've got things going on behind the scenes that you obviously can't talk about, and you've been very, very good with that, the stuff that you've been working on, and it's really important. And I really love. Going back to what you were saying before about this calling from God and being in your lane, for a long time, there was a lot of outrage through COVID. There's so many things that we could be talking about, and I myself have gone through this really strong journey of really solidifying my faith as well, and I can definitely relate to where you're at with that. And so for me, it's still obviously working out that ability to really stay in that lane well, and that's something that you've done really well. And I think that's really what's going to be a testament to your success is just focusing on the things, because the battlefront is very, very large for humanity, but not just for humanity, but for Christians, because there's a lot of pushback on families, Christian families, just simply because of their belief in the world and how they view the world, and a lot of the way that the society's been structured now with other influences. There's a lot of pushback on us. So again, well done on that. But let's just, what do you reckon? We'll bring up your website and we can have a bit of a talk through what you've got set up and guide people through that a little bit. So I'll just bring that up now. So the website is believeinaction.australia.com.au, and so this is obviously the landing page. So obviously there it's got children cannot consent. Yeah, it's a work in progress, but that's okay. It's about getting started. You can obviously get feedback from people. There's obviously going to be a way that people can reach out to you and say, look, maybe it needs this or that, or someone can help you with that. But it's like any website. It's a very fluid thing, and you're continuing to work on that. So this is the landing page, obviously the home page. Then you've got an actions page. So there's some templates and SOS share your stories. Talk a little bit about that, and then we'll keep working through.
Okay. The template. Well, if you scroll down on the home page,
yeah, sure.
Yep. A little bit of information there, and then the petition that I've got that people can submit and have a read of that. Yeah, so that's where that is. I might change the format because I'm thinking about expanding the website, and I can talk about that in a minute. But what we've got
what I might do though, while I've got it out here, just so we're calling it out online as well, I might just quickly read this, Angela, and then we can go through what the petition says. So, to the education ministers, the Honourable Lucy Hood, the Honourable Di Farmer, the Honourable Prue Carr, the Honourable Ben Carroll, the Honourable Dr. Tony Beauty, the Honourable Jane Howlett and Yvette Berry, and the Honourable Joe Heresy, we, the undersigned, residents from Australia, request the removal of mandatory SOGI, so sexual orientation, gender identity, instruction and explicit sex instruction from school curriculums, participation, learning and encouragement in activism activities. The reason, although each state and territory have their own regulations that allow parents to withdraw their child from participating in sexuality education by writing to their children's school, parents across Australia are being told that it is mandatory. The Respectful Relationships Education Australia RREA program is targeted to children and young people from foundation to year 10 on a whole school approach. The program contains CSE, Comprehensive Sexuality Education. CSE is not the birds and the bees education on puberty, human reproduction and sexual health. RREA focuses on sexual pleasure and how to be a good lover. This also has a large focus on LGBTQA plus instruction and student participation in activism. Parents and or guardian caregivers have the right and responsibility to raise their children in accordance with their values. This is stated in the Royal Commission into Institutional Response to Child Sexual Abuse, Recommendation 6.6, Standard 3, families and communities are informed and involved. Section A, families have the primary responsibility for the upbringing and development of their child and participate in decisions affecting their child. And there's a bit of a link there. And then obviously people can then sign that petition. So well worded, very informational, and it's pretty straightforward, really, when you look at it.
I'm hoping it wasn't too technical or wordy, but I like to be respectful, polite, and to the point. And it's that particular program, and that's exactly what I'm addressing. And they use technical terms as well in their policies and everything too. So this, I want to be absolutely direct.
Yep, 100%. And this is what I mean. A lot of people are probably very unaware that this is happening and this is in existence, and this is the point. It's about having those slow conversations, feeding that information, and if we do it respectfully without bashing people over the head, then it might sink in naturally just by having those respectful conversations with our fellow neighbours and community members. So yeah. So what have we got next? And actually, did you want to cover any of the template?
Yeah, we can go through. We don't have to read all of it, but we can go through the template. So the child protection curriculum, there is a letter. Now, initially with this website here, I brought this domain from Guardians Australia, and I'm remodeling and building from there. So the template letter was already designed and written by someone with legal background. So any parents who wishes to use this template letter to withdraw their child from sexuality education can download and print it and use this and give it to their child's school in the meantime. So this helps. This is written by someone with legal background.
Yep. Okay. Yep. Awesome. So that's there.
Yep.
Awesome. And then you've got share your stories as well. So has that been beneficial as well?
So, this was already on the site, but anyone could write to me. I can give it's contact at believe inactionaustralia.com.au. You can send me an email, and pretty much anyone who submitted a story, and this is from the Guardians Australia, when it was that domain, I've overtaken it and I'm keeping it there because these are educators, parents, or that they've had incidences that have happened in schools. Or you could just submit on the form on the website, and I'll go through them and try to keep you anonymous. I'll keep you safe. But let's get some stories out there. Let's gain evidence or whistleblow on some of the issues that are happening in schools that people are experiencing.
So there's quite a few stories there already, and it's really important for people to share their story of what they're going through, because that then also gives other people the courage to say, well, we're actually not on our own. There is actually other people that are going through or that are experiencing what we're experiencing as well. So, great. And then you've got a connection. This is still a tie over as well from Guardians, or
yes,
okay.
Yes.
So,
but I've looked in those other websites, and there's other groups. There might be a few technical difficulties. I don't know. I have to see what's going on, but those websites or groups, have a lot of information, have a very similar sort of focus, different parts of Australia. So, if you want to get involved with a certain group that's already active on certain things, I want to help connect. I don't want to reinvent the wheel in any way, shape or form. I might have a few actions that I might put up eventually, and not all of them are going to be politically minded, but, you can connect with different groups. And, later on, I want to expand Believe in Action Australia to other chapters to cover other issues, but there are people who already have the framework and actions that they can take on. So I just want to help connect people, and then obviously with the podcasts and interviews, I need to start adding more stuff on there. But there's some really good stuff for people to get started with. Join our Facebook that's inactive at the moment. I need to create, still work on this myself, and start changing it a bit more. But I want to build this up. So I want to create chapters. So, like Love Life and House of Refuge. If you want to get involved in the pro-life movement, I want to put down who you can contact and create a page for every state with the Love Life movement or things like that, or whatever the action is. Even some community-based actions as well. So, if there's some actions around helping people with homelessness or mental health and things like that, eventually I want to create extra chapters. But the first thing I wanted to do is really get started on the indoctrination of children, especially around the gender ideologies. And, unfortunately, sexuality education, it's a lot more than just the gender stuff. Is what they teach in schools is not just puberty and human reproduction anymore. It's sexual pleasure. And some parents might think it's okay, but they're teaching, different schools are teaching it at different ages. And I'm hearing so many stories of child on child in primary school age sexual assaults and stuff as well. So, I don't think the safety message is really getting out there. I think, at the end of the day, and what I found with the investigation, the police investigation into Shine SA and into the DVDs and what's evident and the classification is you don't need to have explicit, highly explicit content to teach puberty and human reproduction. You only need simple illustrations. Anatomical drawings are sufficient. You don't need sex instruction tools in order to teach highly explicit education. So, until those sort of changes happen, in the meantime, we've got those letters there, but I want to start building, I reckon. And my daughter, finally got cards. I got the business cards, and my daughter drew the illustration in the front. And because she's against AI, that was the other thing, she said, Mum, as an artist, because she does a lot of animation type or manga type drawing, and she's writing a book, and I know some musicians feel very passionate too. They don't like the use of AI. They don't want to feel like they have to compete, or it's unfair to compete with AI. And that's another action I'd like to work on, is trying to get some sort of restrictions around the use of AI for artists. So that's something I want to look at as another separate action later on, because she's feeling so passionate. But the illustration, the seedling, it's like when you take an action, you plant a seed, you have to believe in it. You have to believe in it. You have to water it. And sometimes you don't see results. The results grow underground in the unseen, and that's where your belief comes in. And that's, it's like faith in motion type thing. You still have to, you pray, you get guided, you still have to nurture it, and then eventually it starts to grow, but it grows roots first. And that's how I see actions. You have to develop the roots.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it's that belief in what you're doing. And, this again comes back to, finding your lane, but then also, is attracting people that, that share the same vision as you. So, I guess one of the other key things is that I've seen with many organizations through this whole COVID thing, there's so many of us that felt that there should be change and whatever. So we saw all these groups popping up, and I'm just aware of a lot of groups that actually do so much work, and they're only very, very, very small. And I think it's because there's not enough people actually putting their hand up. There's a lot of people complaining about what's wrong and what they can see is the problem, but they're not actually putting their hand up to volunteer and get involved. So what's your encouragement to people? Let's just stick with your lane for the minute, because there is so many different things. And as you mentioned, you'd love to be able to see Believe in Action Australia grow where other lanes open up, but other people champion those lanes, is I guess what you would envisage. But what would you say to people that are sort of sitting there and say, well, this is really concerning about what's happening to children, the sexuality education? What's your encouragement to people even in South Australia or around the country to possibly reach out to get involved?
First of all, go in your quiet place. If you're Christian or not, go in a quiet place, meditate, pray, if that's what you do, and just see what you feel inside here that you feel drawn to do. And, and then sometimes when we get, we feel like we need to take a certain action and we're not sure, talking to too many people can put you off. Because whatever assignment God gives you is your assignment, and people will put their doubt into you, and they will compare what they're afraid to do, and they'll pour that onto you. So the first thing I'd say is, okay, you can talk to some like-minded people, but if there's an action you feel like you need to take, just do it and don't tell anyone, because it's that's your assignment. No one needs to know about it. Just do it and give it a go. What's the worst thing that could happen if you write an email, if you feel like you need to talk to a number of people and plant those seeds? And don't worry about what people say or think. That's the hardest thing. I think a lot of us, we need to feel validated. We need to, there's a lot of, what's the word? A lot of drama out there. People love drama. People love loud voices. They want to hear people cuss and swear, and they want to hear, a certain action. They want to feel that drama. It doesn't have to be so dramatic. You don't have to feel validated. Not everyone's going to applaud for you. You're going to be overlooked. So expect that and just do what you feel, even if it's the smallest thing. And it starts off, the first action I did was I reached out to my local counsellor, and I just told them my concerns about these children's books that I found in the library. And she told me, apply to do a deputation. I had no idea what that word actually was. And when I gave my first deputation, I never done public speaking before. And, I practiced that speech probably 100 times. I was so anxious and nervous. Not everyone's going to be, speaking, but if you feel like, there's an action with it, with whatever I've got going or someone else's, or if it's political or whatever, I know what they're doing. If you feel drawn to that, if there's something, if you've got a special talent or a skill that can help that person, even if it's just helping them connect with another person, or just feel and do what you feel comfortable. Just know this: God will never place a desire in your heart to do something if you didn't know you could handle it. And that's the thing is, people think, if it's from God, it'll be peaceful. No, it's not going to be peaceful. It's going to feel like chaos. It's going to feel not peaceful. Sometimes we have to take actions that challenge ourselves. We're not going to grow or change as people, you can't go too far out of your comfort zone. Slowly build it up, but don't tell everyone everything straight away. Just follow your own intuition, follow what you feel inside here, and take one step at a time. And don't listen to too many people. Don't keep going to too many people outside of yourself, because no one knows your relationship with God and what God wants you to do. And if you're not really a religious or a believer in that sense, you do have some sort of intuition deep down. Something isn't right. And you could feel that. Start, finding like-minded people, but find an action that you feel comfortable with, and then build from there. But don't be afraid. What's the worst that can happen?
Yeah, exactly right. Absolutely right. And this is the way it's been promoted over quite a number of times, especially in the Christian spaces, because generally Christians have spoken out about a lot of things that are happening in society, and there's been a lot of demonizing and pushback and ridicule and all that. And this is all designed to bring us back into our own shell and say, oh, that's wrong think and wrong speak, you can't say that. And that's where we're at as society, and that's exactly what they rely on. But it's really, like you say, is praying for that courage and that discernment and humility to just really boldly call out what you see is wrong, and that's exactly what you've been doing. And we know, and I've written about it on my blog, we know that this isn't an organic thing that's happening. There's a lot of funding. There's individuals that have an ulterior motive behind a lot of the stuff that's happening, particularly in the West. We're not immune. Australia, New Zealand, Canada, you're seeing it all through the West. This is funding, and I've personally written about some of the stuff that you've been talking about as well on my blog. And one of them is who shapes a child. So that was a Christian response to the case against parental rights. So these are articles that are actually written, academic articles by people saying that the parents and families, biological parents and families shouldn't be involved, is talking about the state being involved in that. And then on from that is, the philosophy, from philosophy to federal court. So all these academic papers turn into policy, and it ended up then even affecting our own federal court and the redefinition of sex. And then there's also funding about it. So there's an article about who funds the redefinition of sex, and then who targets the church, and how international philanthropic organisations actually fund a lot of that. So this isn't, and I didn't bring that up to push my own blog site, but only because through my investigations, what you're actually fighting against is that it's not organic, and that's what I'm finding. And people need to be aware that it's actually not organic. It is actually a deliberate influence to influence society in a certain direction, and they want to capture the minds of our children and young people. And it's really important. I think the work that you're doing, and is in encouraging others to get involved. What do you require assistance? You mentioned that you're working on this program, you're working on this yourself, you've got some things going in the background, you're obviously praying a lot and you're discerning a lot. Is there any support or assistance that you would like to see from the community, other than, I guess, the petition on the site and completing that? Because that's obviously a big one. So just bring that up again, the signing the petition. So that's a big one of yours. What other things would you like to see the community get involved in?
I think, I want to eventually. I do want to put something out there to put a call out for people to join up and create a membership level where we could have a meeting and work out on what people want to do and create actions across Australia, state by state, and organise different chapters. At the moment, I'm trying to figure out how that's going to go, because there's different ways. If I do decide to register an organisation or official group or something like that, I want to do this properly and make sure I get everything sorted out. So I haven't worked out the type of format I would like it to be, but I haven't thought too far ahead. I've been, at the moment, it's just really myself and a few people. I mean, I'm not receiving any donations for this at the moment. I'm not getting paid for what I'm doing. Everything that's come throughout the few years, when there's been expenses, it's been provided for, like a random donation here and there, but I haven't made anything. Even when I was running for the last South Australian election, I didn't earn a single cent from it. So I think that hasn't come clear to me on the next actions. I've got a few ideas on building that, but I will put, I do have an email address, which we could put that, we could share that. So it's contact at believeinaction.australia.com.au. And if people would like to reach out and they have an idea of the type of actions they want, I am going to look at getting a web designer to help put up a few more pages of a few different actions. Ideally, I think what I want to do is just help people connect with already established organizations and groups, so I don't have to reinvent the wheel. But if there is a particular action that we could take, like another template letter or something like that, then yes, then we can, work out how to connect people and work out another action as well. I really haven't given it too much thought on my own yet. I suppose in the next few weeks I will get a web designer up and get some more actions up there, or more ways for people to contact me, and let's get the right people, let's get groups going, let's see if we can get a chapter leader, one for every state or something like that. And if people want to work with me, if that's what they want to do, just contact me and let's see if we can set up a chapter leader in every state and see if we can form little groups. I wouldn't ask anyone to put in any more than what they're willing to put in because I can't pay anyone. This is a non-paid thing. And like you said, trying to get people to take certain actions and take, whatever we do in South Australia, whatever success I've had here with the classification books and the DVDs, I can help do that because my accreditation as a classifier is Australia-wide. It's not just South Australia. So if anyone wants to help me, replicate what I've done in South Australia, contact me and I'll give you some information and try it out in your states. But I think it's time for people to pull in and tell me how they can help and any ideas that they have. And, I haven't got any formal formatting to set up a group yet. That's something I'm working towards, and I'm sort of praying to see, what inspires me next and how I can format that, so yeah. So I don't know. This is all very new to me. I feel like I'm jumping in. I'm learning how to swim.
Well, sometimes that's the best way to do things, and it just grows from there. I think you've done the first part, is build it, and as the old saying is, build it and they will come. And hopefully at least getting your message out, and hopefully others can bring you on board on some of their podcasts, get you out there to talk about your mission a bit further, and then hopefully out of that, people that might be praying or discerning about how they can get involved themselves can reach out and be in contact with you. And I think it's important. It is really important to get the right people. We want the people with the right heart and the right mind to want to get involved and help you. I think the days, and I'm guilty of it through COVID. There was a lot of initial anger and frustration and really not knowing how to deal with what was happening. But I think over the time, it's kind of you self-reflect and you look and you think about what is more successful. And I've found that just having those conversations, being open to listen, but then also not trying to bash at people's doors and meeting them where they are. And I think that's what you've done quite successfully to get to where you are, quietly just chipping away. And that's kind of what encourage other people that might be thinking about getting involved with something that with you, with sort of building what your concept is and what your thoughts are behind that. So really just hope obviously that you get that direction, obviously through prayer and guidance from above, but also that people do search within themselves about getting out and getting involved, because this is really important. We've, as I said before, there's a lot of influences there that are looking to, I guess, subvert our children and our families and even us on a daily basis. And we need to come together and be strong, and we're strengthened by one another, right? Through our faith, and like you keep mentioning, we're obviously open to non-believers, as well. And providing they obviously have the heart and can see that there's something fundamentally wrong and that needs change, and to walk side by side to look at affecting that change. And I think that's really, really important. Did you have anything else, a call out or anything that you wanted people, a message or anything else that you needed to cover before we look at wrapping up?
No, I think people just need to reflect on what they want to do. If they want to take any sort of action, or if they, especially with the children in schools and things like that, join the parent and friends groups, join the governing council. I'll put some more documents eventually on the website so people have more of a point of reference when I talk about the respectful relationships documents or other documents and sample stuff. So when I talk about my social media and things like that, I do reference everything and I put a lot of photos and imagery on there. But, I didn't do this. I'm not doing this for status. I'm not doing this to gain popularity or anything like that. I feel a genuine calling. And the thing is, and I'm going to be straight honest here, I'm not going to sugarcoat this. I'm a single mum, and I don't have time to around. I'm sorry about the language, but I don't. I get just as angry as other people, and I can smile and be polite, but I'm not here to muck around. I'm not wasting my time here. So that, this is why I'm focused on doing what I need to do. It's not about causing drama or trying to earn popularity points or status. I don't care about all that. I just want to get done what I need to do because this is what I feel called to do. So excuse my harsh language, but I need to say that, I'm just like everyone else. I get my anger and frustration too. And we're allowed to have a bit of righteous anger sometimes. Well, that's how somebody else put it. It's just the way it is. And, the advertiser has done a piece on the trying to say thing. They write their way. It's a bit biased. So I don't care how they put it. We know that they're always not going to write the truth as it is. They left some interesting details out that made me sound like I was just, over the top complaining person or whatever. But I'm not there trying to pick on anyone or on trying to say. I'm not trying to harm any reputations of everyone. I'm delivering what is the truth. The truth is, this is what has happened. This is what's in those DVDs. This is what's happening in schools. I've spoken about UNESCO and the WHO, and I'm going to be straightforward. We are being controlled by pedophiles, pretty much by corporate pedophiles who are giving our government bodies and committees directives on how to govern our children. That has to stop. I'm not just a mum complaining. That's the truth. The UNESCO and WHO believe that children are sexual from birth. And, we have to be angry about it too. I'm not here mucking around. I'm not here trying to... I haven't earned anything from what I'm doing. I feel good to have an outcome, but I'm not here wasting my time.
And you're right.
That's how I bring.
Yep. No, and you're right, because we know that these bodies do influence public policy, and I'm actually just about ready to publish another article which talks about a lot of influential organisations that actually do shape policy that affects Australians and others around the world. So it's not wrong, and that needs to. Yeah, you're right. People need to get more outraged about it. Because children's lives are at stake. They're trying to subvert them and try to fracture families and change the social order, which they've been so far quite successful at trying to achieve. So we need to push back, and you rightly should be. You have every right to be angry and frustrated about what they've been trying to put out there, and others just need to get free.
The devil attacks people by attacking your identity. And they're corrupting minds and attacking their identity. That's what it is.
Know your enemy.
Identity.
Yep. Know your enemy. Know your enemy. Exactly right. So just going to flash this up. So it's believeinaction.australia.com.au is the website. And then you mentioned people want to reach out to you to see if they can get involved or even have some ideas or, support with the website development or whatever it might be to kind of give you a leg up, is contact at believeinaction.australia.com. So they can jump across on there and check that out. And obviously the website is that's the petition on the website. That's the other big thing, is encouraging people to jump on there from whichever state they're in, and sign that little e-petition that you've got put together on the website there in Believe in Action, Australia. So, no, awesome. It's been a pleasure again having you on and just seeing your passion in this space, Angela. And let's hope we get more passionate people involved that are actually willing to get their hands dirty and bring about action in Australia. So, well done. Let's do a quick, real quick prayer for you, Angela, if I can, and then we'll close it off. Heavenly Father, thank you so much again for this, the ability to have this conversation with Angela, who's doing some real important work, Lord, and just trying to raise awareness in the community about what's happening in the school system and through libraries and this sexual education space, where kids are being influenced by ideals that aren't conducive with the natural family or families or parents, whether they be Christian families or even families that just have more of a conservative values, that don't want to be influenced by this, that are not aware of this influence over their children through these programs, Lord. So just pray you continue to work on Angela and assist Angela. Pray for that she continues to have strength and courage, discernment and humility as she works through this lane that she's in to try and raise awareness in this space, Lord. And I pray that we can get her some helpers, some others to get involved to carry the load, because the load is heavy. There's a massive battle with many fronts, and there's so many battles to fight. And Lord, we just pray that in this battle with Angela, that she receives support and you continue to build her up and lift her up, Lord. And we offer up this prayer in the name of your glorious Son, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.
All right. Well, all the best, and it's great to catch up again. And I'm pretty sure you'll keep me updated with whatever you might have going on, and we'll give you another shout out once you have some more ideas and directions.
Yes. Thank you so much.
And you're most welcome, Angela. All the best.